So about a week ago, we made a video and talked about one of the former top prospects in the New York Rangers system and how he is now doing very well in the Montreal Canadiens system. This video was a pretty hot topic. We had a lot of conversation going in the comments, so thank you very much for that. I'm always very appreciative. But when it comes to this player, the subject of today's video, it turns out his entire future with the Montreal Canadiens is not guaranteed, of course. I mean, his contract is expiring at the end of the year, but it's very apparent that now we have ourselves rumors as to what's actually going to happen next. And an idea floating around as to whether or not the guy actually is gonna leave. So without further ado, let's talk once again about Laval Rocket forward Lias Andersson and his entire profile, his entire situation with the Habs, and what's been going on in the week that was since we talked about him last. Now, Lias Andersson is still the same, 25 years old, 5'11", 185 left-handed forward, and his contract expires at the end of this season, making $775,000. Andersson, if you wanted the scoop, because we had talked about this and more last week, he was a former top prospect with the New York Rangers, a top 10 pick back in 2017, but he never really fulfilled any sort of potential with that squad, eventually getting sent over to the LA Kings, and now he's in Laval, where he's got 34 points in 41 games played. Pretty good number, all things considered, and last week's video was kind of floating the idea around, saying, hey, this guy's finally producing some good numbers in North America. He's actually looking like a good AHL player, so would the Montreal Canadiens want to try and capitalize on the profile of a guy that was a former top 10 pick? Not everybody who's in the top 10 of drafts as recent as 2017 are entirely unredeemable, so why not try out this guy, see if he has a fit with this Canadiens roster, this identity that Kent Hughes has built for his team? Because when you talk about some of the other situations around the league, you talk about these guys who were taken in drafts just a few years ago who might have been disappointing, the Kirby Docs, the Alex Newhooks. These are the guys that Kent Hughes has taken advantage of and brought into the system, and they have worked. So the debate last week was whether or not Lias Andersson could be seen as one of these extra guys. I will say, though, another perspective that we didn't actually talk about in the video last week, but that was discussed in the comments section below, was the fact that the Laval Rocket actually have themselves a lot more to be fighting for this season than the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I get it, you could say, oh, the Habs are fighting for last in the tanking race, they want to get Celebrini, whatever, that's a different conversation. The Laval Rocket, as they push towards a potential playoff spot, could use as much support as they can get. And the idea that Kent Hughes would maybe call up a guy like Lias Andersson, use him in the NHL, and see what he's got up at this level, would in some way deplete the talent that exists in Laval. There's also a perspective that I'd seen a lot of Canadiens fans tossing out there saying, hey, the Canadiens should send Josh Waugh down, they should send Struble down, they should send all these guys down, not because they're not good players and that they don't belong at the NHL level, but because these guys could very much be high-impact players if the Laval Rocket made the AHL playoffs and if they wanted to go far and potentially win a championship. Lias Andersson, who has not been in the NHL since last year with the LA Kings, may be a lot more suited to sticking around if you wanted to focus more so on a Laval playoff berth. But with that being said, the entire idea of the Canadiens experimenting with Andersson, if it doesn't happen this year, it may not happen at all. Because earlier 2 days ago, we had ourselves a post made on Expressen.se. This is a Swedish news journalistic platform that goes out there and talks about Swedish hockey news. And this article, which will be linked in the description, is titled this: SHL clubs are getting competition as a Swiss top club is chasing Lias Andersson. The article opens up by saying that Andersson's contract with the Canadiens is expiring, and much signs are pointing for him to return to Europe, but a potential SHL return is uncertain. The SHL clubs have received competition from a Swiss top club, which is chasing Andersson. The article, written by Johan Svensson, goes out there and says this, that Lias has a history in Frölunda and HV71. He won championship gold with HV in 2017, but has played in North America in recent years. This summer, he chose to sign for Montreal since he became a free agent after the contract with the LA Kings expired. However, it's only been in AHL games in Laval for Andersson, where he has performed at a high level. But Montreal has not picked him up for their NHL team during the season despite that. Now, he's looking towards Europe. This makes certain SHL teams interested in the 25-year-old's services, but it's not certain that he'll be in the SHL if he returns to Europe. He is in high demand among Swiss League clubs, and HC Davos is one of the clubs that are prepared to sign him. The club has him high on their wish list for next year. And so, with this in mind, it turns out that everything that we had talked about in the last week video seems to not even really be a possibility here. If the guy's not going to get called up because the AHL's Laval Rocket needs him more, and the Canadiens don't see too much in him to try and test him out in the NHL level, then I guess he has the right to go out there and start thinking about his next destination. But to have it come out so soon, near the end of March, that, hey, SHL teams are already looking up Lias Andersson and they want to see him. They want to know what he's going to be able to do. And there are teams in Switzerland like Davos that are going out there and saying, yeah, this guy's one of our highly prioritized players. Isn't that not some sort of tampering at this point? Trying to think about a guy who's overseas and thinking about signing him and already talking to yourselves and amongst other teams in the league, yeah, this guy's going to be available. We want him. Oh, yo, you want him? We want him too. It seems like there's a bidding war for this guy before the door's allowed to even be open, before you're allowed to even enter the parking lot. People are already lining up to get Lias Andersson and chuck some money at him in the event that he does go overseas. Now, I will say, it's only in that event. We do not know if Lias Andersson will hold out with the Montreal Canadiens, become a UFA, and then just sign some other contract with some other NHL or AHL team. His current contract with Montreal expires as an RFA, so I'm not really too sure what the rules are going to be there, if the Canadiens will just hold on to his rights, or if they'll let him go. There's gotta be some conclusion here, right? Because if the Canadiens do decide to qualify his RFA deal and hold on to him in some capacity, does that limit what Lias Andersson is able to do next season? He won't have had a contract, but if there are some kind of loopholes, whatever the Montreal Canadiens could try to do, if they want to say, yeah, this guy's good, we'll keep him in Laval for now, I guess there are some opportunities for Ken Hughes to try to use that to his advantage, right? But either way, we'll see. But at the end of the day, this entire Lias Andersson conversation that we had brought up last week, I don't think it's really coming to fruition here, which is honestly kind of disappointing because I was pretty much of the mindset that, hey, this guy was good in his SHL junior career. He was such a highly touted player. It's why he went top 10, and now he's gone through his ups and downs. He had a great season last year with the Ontario Reign in the AHL, and now he's in Laval. If the Montreal Canadiens want to expand on those young guys, this could be a great opportunity to do so, but they ended up not doing that, and now he's gonna leave. And we already kind of know where he's going to go to next season. So if you're a fan of any team in the SHL, whether you're a fan of Frölunda or HV71, teams that Lias Andersson has played for in the past, or if you're a fan of the HC Davos team in the Swiss League, what are your opinions on your squad potentially going out there and grabbing Lias Andersson? And if you're a fan of the Laval Rocket or the Montreal Canadiens, what are your opinions on this guy? And do you think the Canadiens should have used him at some point throughout this 23-24 campaign? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.